At the time of divorce, the court presumes that all property owned by you and your spouse is community property. This is important to understand because community property is divided by the divorce court, but not all property held by you or your spouse is community property. Instead, property may qualify as separate property. Separate property cannot be divided by the court. Separate property is defined as the property which you or your spouse own before marriage, inherit during marriage, or receive as a gift. Since it is so important to understand into which category your property falls, one of the first things your attorney will do with you will be to review all of your assets to determine which are separate and which are community. It is important that you and your lawyer are thorough when discussing the origin of your property. Once we've determined what property constitutes the community or marital estate, it is important to note that Texas is not a 50-50 state. In Texas, we don't just split things down the middle. It is not uncommon that one spouse will leave the marriage with more of the community property than the other. In some cases, the court can award a disproportionate share of the party's community estate to one spouse or the other. The decision of who gets what depends upon numerous factors, which can include differences in earning capacity of each party, who will have primary custody of the children, fault grounds such as adultery or cruelty, along with various other factors which the court may consider. Sounds simple, doesn't it? Well, it isn't as simple as it may first appear. The court can also consider claims for reimbursement, economic contribution claims, and many other claims that the court can factor into its decision when dividing your property. As you can see, it's imperative to discuss these issues with your attorney. The division of your debts can be subject to the same factors the court considers when dividing your property. The first thing to be determined is whether a debt is separate or community debt. Once that is determined, the court can apply the same reasoning it does to the division of your assets to the division of your debts. There are some important things for you to understand when considering how your debt is to be divided. The most important thing to remember is no matter who the court orders to pay a debt, that order will not affect whom a creditor can look for payment of that debt. So be careful. If you are contractually obligated to pay a debt and the court orders your spouse to pay that debt, that creditor can still look to you for payment. It is important to discuss this with your lawyer when deciding who should take which debt. Finally, don't forget a very important option available to you and your spouse, which takes some of the many unknowns out of the division of your assets and debts. You and your spouse can work with your lawyers towards an agreement, ensuring fairness without the unknown of having the court divide your estate for you.